Meow, 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 meow. The Tom Daniel Show. Meow, 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 meow. The Tom Daniel Show. Meow, 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 Tom Daniel Show.
You're listening to The Tom Daniel Show, and I'm your host, Tom Daniel. Welcome to the podcast if this is your first time, and this is where I take a stack of sources and distill them down to the most fascinating nuggets of knowledge just for you. That's the plan. One of my favorite things to do in music is to explore the hidden corners of music history, from haunted concert halls to the eccentricities of genius. And today's episode of The Tom Daniel Show is one of affection, inspiration, and whiskers. I'm going to talk about musicians and their cats. I want to take an historical look at the fascinating relationships between some of music's greatest minds and their little furry feline companions. I've taken a look at some historical accounts, personal letters, some really quirky anecdotes, and some cultural commentary to give me a good meow mix of classical composers and modern pop stars. My mission really is to uncover how these unique relationships influence their lives and, sometimes even their art. It's a connection that, well, on the surface seems kind of contradictory now, doesn't it? I mean, one of them lives in an often solitary, deeply focused, independent, aloof, elegant, mysterious world, and the other one is a musician. Cats and musicians have shared an odd but enduring bond, and it's definitely more than just pet ownership. And we're talking about cats literally walking and sleeping on top of priceless manuscripts of handwritten music. And perhaps it's no wonder that these animals found their way into the hearts and homes of artists who themselves straddled the line between this world and one of sound and abstraction. Instead of pets, they were more like partners of creation. Let's start with Claude Debussy, the father of musical French Impressionism, who was quite the cat enthusiast. Debussy owned a blue-eyed Angora cat named Berlioz, named after the 19th century French composer Hector Berlioz. Debussy's letters to friends and colleagues reveal an unmistakable fondness for felines. And according to his own daughter, Debussy often let the cat roam freely across his desk, sometimes interrupting his composing by stepping directly on the manuscript. Debussy didn't seem to mind. He just accepted the cat's presence as part of his creative flow. That's a unique level of artistic patience, I'd say. Debussy's daughter, by the way, was named Claude Emma, but he usually referred to her as Choo Choo or Mon Petit Choo Choo, which means my little pet, or it could mean my little cabbage, depending on how you look at it. Then there's Maurice Ravel, another giant of 20th century French composition, and a man known not just for the bolero, but for his collection of Siamese cats, and he was known to mimic their meows in conversation. Friends described his home as filled with purring companions, one of whom was named Mimi, and Mimi liked to sleep curled up inside the piano. Now, she would also perch atop the keys while Ravel composed, and sometimes she'd press just one single note, and Ravel swore it was always the right one. He once said to a friend, "Mimi composes better than Debussy." I'm not sure he was joking. Ravel often included Mimi's mysterious single-note meows echoed in his piano works. Ravel's opera, The Child and the Magic Spells, sometimes just called L'Enfant, includes a humorous duet between two cats called the Meow Duo, and it showcased his love for feline behavior, and he frequently enjoyed singing the duet with his friends for amusement, a cat duet sung in meows. And then there was Erik Satie, possibly the most eccentric composer of all. Now, best known for his dreamlike gymnopede, Satie lived alone in a tiny apartment filled with peculiar objects and, at one point, as many as a dozen cats. He gave them peculiar names like Medusa, Tabasco, and Superb. According to memories from friends, Satie spoke to his cats as equals, called them my children, and insisted they sit at the dinner table complete with their own little plates. Now, whether this is exaggerated or not, it's a detail that fits perfectly with the surrealist spirit of the composer. It suggests a pretty profound level of companionship in his solitary life. So, for these French masters, cats weren't just pets. They were almost like these little silent muses, weren't they? It's almost as if their unpredictable elegance mirrored the very fluid nature of the music they were creating. Next, Arnold Schoenberg, the expressionist German composer who invented the 12-tone technique. Now, in exile from Nazi Germany, Schoenberg settled in Los Angeles, where he took up teaching and continued composing. And there, he lived with a cat named Putsy. In one magazine featured from the 1940s, a photo shows Schoenberg in his study, looking very severe and intellectual, while Putsy lounges indifferently in the foreground, completely unfazed. Schoenberg was a man of contradictions, a radical modernist who feared the number 13. And yet, with Putsy curled beside him, he seemed calm. He even taught the cat to jump through hoops, a fact recorded in family anecdotes. It really speaks to the unique roles these animals played in their lives, maybe an anchor in a complex world. Igor Stravinsky was also known to be a cat lover. Although he was Russian, he mostly lived in Paris, which just seems to be more of a cat-friendly place than Mother Russia, I think. There are numerous photos of Stravinsky cuddling with cats, and he appreciated their aloof, independent nature, something he definitely identified with. So he saw something of himself in them, not just a passing affection. It feels like a deep recognition of a shared spirit almost. But love of cats goes all the way back to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Although we don't have records of Mozart actually owning any cats, we do have vivid stories of him imitating them. One well-documented quirk was his habit of meowing like a cat during conversations, not as a joke, but as a kind of spontaneous expression. Friends and biographers described moments when Mozart would suddenly leap up, meow loudly, and begin crawling around the room like a cat, before returning to the piano as if nothing had happened. That's bizarrely charming. But perhaps the most telling story comes from an eyewitness account of a private performance. Mozart was playing a piece when a cat wandered into the room, and instead of ignoring it, he stopped mid-performance, walked over, picked up the cat, and gently carried it out, before returning to the keyboard with a grin and resuming exactly where he'd stopped without missing a beat. The cat had disrupted the music, yes, but to Mozart, that was not an offense. It was kind of part of the show, just a moment of charming, unscripted spontaneity that he simply integrated right into the performance. Now, cats haven't just been companions. They've crept into the music itself. Now, take Rossini's Duetto buffo dei due gatti, the comic duet for two cats. Though likely compiled from earlier works by someone else, the piece is often attributed to Rossini, who adored cats, and it features two sopranos singing or arguing entirely in meows. It's still performed today, half joke, half vocal acrobatics, but all feline charm. Even Frédéric Chopin, though not known to have owned a cat, inspired an enduring legend. Some claim that his waltz in D-flat major, Opus 64, No. 1, which was nicknamed the Minute Waltz, not the Minute Waltz, but the Minute Waltz, was inspired by a cat chasing its tail. Chopin's girlfriend, George Sand's letters lend some plausibility to the story, describing Chopin's amusement at his pet's antics. The feline spirit and their playful energy are definitely present in his creative environment. You're listening to The Tom Daniels Show. We'll be right back.
Meow, 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 meow. The Tom Daniel Show. Meow, 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 meow. Tom Daniel Show. Meow, 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 meow. The Tom Dan Show. The Tom Daniel Show.
Welcome back to the Tom Daniel Show. And well, that was different. Mary Mac is literally the world's most perfect band. And we've been talking about famous composers and their cats, but is attraction for felines limited to just classical music composers? What about music performers? So now let's pounce to the vibrant, often chaotic lives of pop and rock stars. Many modern musicians have had a deep devotion to cats, and some even made their feline companions part of their public image or creative process. The enduring bonds between cats and musicians remains just as strong as ever, and we have to start with Freddie. Freddie Mercury, the lead singer for Queen, was famously obsessed with cats, and obsessed is an understatement. At one point, he had 10 cats living with him, and each had their own room in his mansion. He called them his children, and he would phone home while on tour just to talk to them. Okay, how does that even work? Well, presumably he'd have his staff hold the phone up to their little ears so he could talk to them, convey messages and, make sure they were okay. Now, that's dedication. Freddie's 1985 solo album, Mr. Bad Guy, was even dedicated to my cat Jerry, also Tom, Oscar, and Tiffany, and all the cat lovers across the universe. He even penned the song Delilah on Queen's Innuendo album about one of his beloved cats, an entire Queen song about a cat. Now, that's profound, unwavering devotion right there. Okay, from rock royalty to pop royalty, we have to talk about Taylor Swift. Tay-Tay is certainly the modern musical queen of cat lovers. Her 3 cats are practically celebrities themselves. I mean, they really are. So let's see. There's Meredith Grey and Olivia Benson, who are both Scottish folds. And then there's Benjamin Button, a ragdoll. They're all famously named after TV and movie characters, and they frequently make appearances on her social media, often stealing the show. They're huge online. What's truly remarkable, though, is Olivia Benson's unique status. She was once ranked among the richest pets in the world due to branding deals and merchandise featuring her likeness. It just demonstrates the sheer power of modern cat fame, especially linked to a superstar like Swift. That's a level of feline celebrity few could even dream of. Okay, speaking of pop stars, Ed Sheeran is another well-known cat enthusiast, and he's owned multiple cats, including one named Graham, who was adopted with his ex-girlfriend. And his social media is often filled with heartwarming cat-themed content. But beyond just owning cats, Sheeran is known for his hands-on approach to animal welfare. He fosters cats and has done quite a bit of work with animal shelters, which shows a real commitment, not just a casual affection. Good for him. Now, moving on to a very different sound, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana was deeply fond of animals, and his affection for cats was well documented in photos and journals. In fact, there's a very famous photo that shows him lying on the floor beside a black and white cat, reportedly a longtime companion and clearly a source of comfort for him. Cobain had this deep, almost visceral fondness for animals in general, and he once told a fan magazine that animals are better than people because they don't lie to you. It's a pretty telling reflection coming from someone who, often struggled with the complexities of human interaction. Definitely. Okay, now here's an interesting one, given his stage name. Snoop Dogg. Yep, Snoop Dogg, The dog in his name might suggest otherwise, but he is a true cat lover. Now, the irony is fantastic, but despite the moniker, Snoop has 2 Siamese cats named Frank Sinatra and Miles Davis. Great names, aren't they? He even temporarily changed his name to Snoop Lion in 2012 to symbolize his appreciation for King of Cats. And that just goes to show how unexpected and deep these connections to cats can be. And you can't judge a book or a rapper by his name, I guess. Now, I really don't remember all that happening in 2012, but then again, Snoop probably doesn't either. And David Bowie, another legend. He also had several cats throughout his lifetime and famously posed with them. Those multiple photo shoots are iconic, always with that incredible, almost alien presence he had. And although he wasn't as outspoken about his cat affinity as, like Freddie Mercury was, he was clearly fond of them. What's truly compelling, I think, is how his own feline-esque fashion sense and graceful movements on stage embraced their mystique as part of his glam pop image. Cats weren't just props to David Bowie. They were like an extension of his own enigmatic persona. Okay, speaking of flamboyant aesthetics, CeeLo Green became a viral sensation for a while thanks to his appearances with his Persian cat Perfect, who accompanied him during his time on NBC's The Voice. She just sat in his lap and became a phenomenon. Perfect even had her own Twitter account. She was definitely part of his whole eccentric stage persona and added to his unique visual brand, instantly recognizable and a true star. A musical genius, Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, went through a lot in his tortured personal life, but he often found solace in cats. He expressed his fondness for cats in interviews, especially during those periods of reclusion and intense pressure he faced, and his cats were his main source of comfort. He often talked to them and credited them with helping him through creative blocks and some pretty profound mental health struggles. For someone who experienced such internal turmoil, their quiet, non-judgmental presence seems to have offered some genuine peace for him. Finally, I absolutely have to talk about John Lennon of the Beatles. His profound love for cats seems like it was just a constant, almost foundational presence throughout his life, both in childhood and adulthood. As a boy growing up in Liverpool, Lennon was surrounded by cats. His Auntie Mimi, who raised him, kept multiple cats, and young John grew up particularly attached to a female cat that he named Elvis. Another childhood cat was named Tim, and Tim was a stray cat that John found shivering in the snow, and Lennon was reportedly devastated when Tim eventually passed away, which really speaks volumes about the depth of his early bond with felines. That connection progressed into his adult life, as John continued to keep cats as cherished companions. He even had one cat named Jesus, potentially named after his controversial bigger than Jesus statement from the Beatles' early days, but it's hard to know for sure with Lennon. And with Yoko, their home was filled with various cats. There was Salt and Pepper, a pair of black and white cats, Major and Minor, large tabbies, Misha, a fluffy white cat in their Dakota apartment in New York, and Gertrude and Alice, 2 more tabbies they kept later in life. Now, Alice was a particular favorite of Lennon's, and when she accidentally fell to her death from one of the windows at the apartment, it absolutely devastated him. It was clearly a profound loss for him. They were all true family members to John and Yoko, and way beyond just pets. Now, how did he interact with them on a daily basis? Do we know? Friends and house staff confirm that Lennon treated his cats with immense affection and playfulness. He often spoke to them as if they were people, and gave them all comical little nicknames. He loved to just observe their unique personalities. Now, while Lennon didn't write any songs explicitly about cats, he drew them frequently in his cartoons and sketches. His illustrated books, In His Own Right and A Spaniard in the Works, contain whimsical cat figures and surreal feline characters throughout. In interviews and offhand comments, Lennon expressed admiration for animals in general, and cats especially, often citing their independence and honesty. And one of Lennon's most famous quotes is, "I believe in everything until it's disproved. So I believe in fairies, myths, dragons, and cats." That last part's often paraphrased, but it perfectly captures his sense of humor, his open-mindedness, and his deep connection to the fantastical and independent spirit that cats embody. So yes, cats followed John Lennon quietly but consistently through every phase of his life, from rebellious beetle to peaceful dreamer. A constant source of comfort, maybe even an inspiration. Although the scope of this podcast episode is limited to musicians, many artists from all disciplines were known as cat people, such as Mark Twain, Ernest Hemingway, T.S. Eliot, Andy Warhol, Salvador Dali, and Henri Matisse. And that brings us to the fundamental question of the episode. Why cats? And not dogs or parrots or goldfish? Why do these independent, aloof creatures hold such a unique and enduring appeal for artists across the centuries? What is it about cats that truly seem to fit the creative spirit? Perhaps it's the inherent solitude in the creative process itself. Now, many composers spent long hours alone, thinking, scribbling, improvising. A cat offers quiet companionship without the constant demands of attention that a dog would have. I mean, they don't interrupt your flow. They just kind of exist alongside you. They provide a calming, non-judgmental presence in a space that can often be chaotic or intensely self-critical. Cats are a silent supporter. And beyond that, cats themselves are elegant, strange, mysterious, a little untamed. Much like the music many of these musicians are creating. They resonate with the abstract nature of artistic expression. Maybe for artists constantly under public scrutiny, a cat offers just pure, uncritical acceptance. Cats allow for uninhibited exploration, perhaps which raises another important question. Were these cats muses, quietly inspiring new music with their presence? Or maybe mediums, connecting these artists to something beyond the tangible? Or were they simply familiars to artists already teetering on the edge of genius and at times what society might perceive as madness? Either way, the cats fit. They've been silent witnesses to some of humanity's greatest artistic achievements. And that leads me to a final thought for you, my listener. If these brilliant artists found such a profound connection and inspiration in the quiet, independent presence of a purring cat, what unnoticed or everyday companions or even minor disruptions in your own life might be offering unacknowledged sparks? Sparks of insight, comfort, or creativity. Perhaps true genius lies not in the grand accomplishments, but in embracing the relationship offered by a simple, loving companion, something we're all capable of doing. And while there are no ghost stories here tonight, perhaps that gentle thump of paws on a piano in the night is music enough from the beyond. Thank you for joining us on the Tom Daniels Show. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, share, or leave a review and comment. And if you're a cat-loving musician like me, I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, may your melodies be inspired, your litter boxes tidy, and your keyboards free of furballs. This has been the Tom Daniels Show. Keep listening, keep learning.
Meow, 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 meow. The Tom Daniel Show. Meow, meow, meow. Show.